The blue checkmark is a highly elusive collectible that very few people have a solid understanding of how to actually acquire, which has led to many scammers and con artists coming into the space to sell fake Instagram verification, misleading people and making up random wild theories. On the topic of fake verification, on this video there's going to be a ton of spammers in the comments trying to say that such and such got them verified. They're all scams, stay away from them. And I've seen a ton of videos on this topic from people who don't really know what they're talking about and just saying submit yourself through the app for verification, which we all know doesn't work. So today I'm going to be revealing the harsh but actual truth of how you get verified on Instagram and hopefully give you some tips and tricks you can use to eventually one day get there. Right off the bat, let me address the elephant in the room. No, I am not currently verified on Instagram. However, I have consulted a lot of companies and clients on Instagram who have gone through the process of getting verified on Instagram, and we've helped many of them achieve that. I also know a lot of people inside the media and a lot of people who work with and around Instagram who has been able to give me some information on how this all works for the video. But obviously I've had to keep their identities secret. So the first step towards becoming verified on Instagram is first understanding why it exists so you can get a better understanding of things and then understand what it takes to become verifiable. As the name suggests, Instagram verification is there to verify people who are at risk of being impersonated, and that could then cause harm to other people. For example, well-known financial YouTuber Graham Stephan is at massive risk of people stealing his identity and creating additional Instagram accounts to then go out there and promote scams. And those scams could cause serious harm to a lot of people. This is why Instagram have gone out of their way to identify which account actually is Graham Stephan and give him the blue check mark so people know that is the real one and the other ones are fake. And this decreases the amount of people that get scammed on the platform. Although sadly, some people are still being scammed even with the verification system in place. And this happens across all niches, not just the financial niche, but people could have their identity stolen as a news reporter, as an athlete, as someone in the media, as a celebrity, whatever. There's a lot of situations where there are a lot of situations where a lot of harm could be caused. So the first point you need to really understand is be someone or be a company that is at risk of being impersonated, and that impersonation could cause serious harm. A scammer is unlikely to impersonate a regular person and try and use their identity to gain an advantage in scamming people. So that's why verification exists, to protect the identity of well-known people to avoid their personal details being used to scam others. And it's not just necessarily about having a lot of followers to get verified. We'll talk about this more later, but some people with a couple hundred followers are still at massive risk of their identity being stolen, hence why they can get verified. For example, news reporters and journalists. They might only have a small following, but most of them are verified, and I'll talk about exactly how they do that later as well. Now, the interesting part about verification is it's not actually something that Instagram and Facebook do themselves. They sort of farm it out to third parties, such as media companies, talent management agencies, sports teams, corporations, etc. They do this through what's known as a media portal, which is quite a secretive sort of thing that pretty much just a lot of these large media agencies have access to, so they can submit clients for verification, changing usernames, and so on. Not many people actually know this exists, but it's sort of how it all works. Now, this makes the verification progress more authentic, as for example, if no one was verified and they were to start verifying people, Instagram would have no clue which the real account actually is, and they wouldn't know who to contact to find out. For example, if they wanted to find the real account of the world's greatest football player, Leo Messi, they would not actually know who to contact. So they instead farm out the process to his media team, and the media team can submit verification for all of their clients because they obviously know what the real one is because they deal with them on a day-to-day or week-by-week basis, and they know what the real account is. Same goes for news reporters. Instagram can't just search someone's name and understand what the real account is, so they farm it out to these media companies, news agencies, etc., who obviously have these people at their office 4, 5, 6 days a week, and they obviously know what the real account is, and they can then just submit their ID and a few papers and get verified very easily. Because they have access to this portal, they just whack in the details and it pretty much is done within a few hours to a few days. So that's pretty much how Instagram verification works. You become someone notable that's at risk of being impersonated, and then second, you go ahead and get yourself submitted through the media portal. And in that submission, you include evidence showing that you're noteworthy and that you're at risk of impersonation. Then boom, you're verified. But how do you actually become seen as notable to Instagram and go about getting access to a media portal? Now, the following tips, again, like I mentioned, have come from people who I know who are in this industry all day, every day, and have been able to shed some light on it for me. The main thing that all notable people have and that you're going to need to become verified is a lot of high quality press. You need to get talked about in the media, in articles, and podcasts, and just get your name out there in as much content as possible from notable outlets. If the team at Facebook or Instagram see your submission come through and they Google your name and nothing shows up, you're not going to be getting verified. I'm just sorry, but that's not going to happen. What needs to happen is when they put your name into Google, a ton of articles come up about how you've done this, and it's all relevant to the industry you're in now. So maybe you're a fitness coach and you've given away a ton of tips and tricks to lots of different magazines and you've been featured in them and they've been talking about you. That's going to help you get verified. Now, not only do you need a lot of articles, and the amount that you need is becoming more and more as it's getting harder and harder to become verified due to people sort of tricking the system, but these articles have to actually come from quality outlets. You can't just get 10 or 20 or 30 or 100 random little blogs that don't get much search traffic or credibility to write an article about you and get verified. It actually has to come from quality sources. On top of this, having an engaged audience on your Instagram also helps towards this, but the press is more important. Getting featured in articles is much more important because, like I said earlier, there's people with a few hundred or a few thousand followers that get verified because they might be an athlete that's being talked about lots in the media, but they just might not be Instagram famous. Or they could be a journalist that's written a ton of articles for some big outlets, but no one really follows them on Instagram. So you don't need a lot of followers. It can help, but the main thing is the press. Now, according to the insiders that I've spoken to, you would currently need about 10 to 15 high quality pieces of press. And this is seen as enough to show that you are credible from what I've heard. And this may change. I would assume that over time it becomes harder and harder and you need more and more press to show your credibility. Now, to let you in on a bit of an insider secret on all of this, a lot of the times people just pay for press, especially in niches where verification can be seen as something very valuable. So for example, personal brands, influencers, etc., who rely on Instagram to make an income, which for a lot of my clients is the case, they go out there and they will pay for press. In the case of an athlete or a journalist or whatever, verification doesn't really matter to them and it's not really going to help them or hurt them or affect their income at all, so they don't usually do this. But in niches where verification can help you a lot and make you a lot of money, people are willing to pay big bucks to get in the media to then become verified. So for example, every time you see those articles in Forbes or entrepreneur.com or Inc., and it's like top 10 this, top 10, influencers to follow on TikTok, or top 10 this, that, whatever. A lot of the time, I would even go as far as saying most of the time, they are just paid articles where people pay to get featured on it to then become verified. What these companies will do is they will have a handful of people on the list. They might put Gary Vee in there and Grant Cardone and maybe one or two TikTokers that they really, really like. And then the rest will be sort of filled with paid spots. And you can pay to get into these articles, and then once you've got 10 or 15 of those, you can go to Instagram and say, hey, I've been featured in all of these articles. Even if you did pay for them, Instagram can't really tell the difference. And then that'll help you get verified. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people do. And this is a solid strategy. And if you become verified in certain niches, it can help you make a lot more money, like we talked about. So regardless of whether you go down the path of paying for it or waiting and networking to get it organically from people finding and enjoying your content or whatever it is that you do, either way, you're going to need a bunch of press, probably like I said, 10 to 15 articles. So once you've done that and you've worked on becoming notable and well-known in your niche, and you've got a lot of press and you've got a solid engaged audience on Instagram to look as credible as possible, it's time to actually get submitted to Instagram. Because even when I've seen people have all of these requirements, I'm still yet to see or know of anyone that's been verified on Instagram by simply submitting it on the app. It feels like that feature or that tool on the app where you can submit yourself for verification is kind of just like Instagram saying anyone can do it, but in reality, they never check those requests. I could be wrong. If you have been verified through that, let me know, or you know of people who have. But from what I've seen, like, no one gets verified that way. So getting yourself submitted through the media portal. This is where a ton of the scams come into play. There are a ton of people out there who will promise they have access to media portals and all of this stuff when really they don't. They're just going to take your money and run with it. They'll often get you to pay over PayPal with friends and family, or get you to pay with crypto or any form of payment method where you cannot refund it and get your money back. You'll make the payment and then they will be gone like the wind, just disappeared. Do not trust these people. Anyone who is sliding in your DMs on Instagram offering verification or commenting below in this YouTube video, they probably don't actually understand how it works. And if they did, they wouldn't be selling it over the DMs, because they would know that it is highly illegal and Instagram will ban you if you're doing that stuff. So just don't listen to those people. They don't know what they're talking about. My best advice for getting submitted for verification is genuinely just network. And this will help you get in the press as well and build up your credibility, but just constantly network. Connect with people on social media who might be verified, who might have a large audience. Build that up. Go to networking events. Meet people in the media from different agencies. If you go to sites like Haro, Haro, I'll get my editor to put it up on the screen. It's short for Help a Reporter Out. You can actually get yourself featured in the media for certain specialist topics. And through doing that, you're going to meet people and just build up a large connection base. And then eventually you may meet someone who can help you and that actually knows what they're talking about. At the end of the day, the main people that have got access to these sort of portals is people that run large agencies working with a lot of talent, and Facebook have given them access to this so that they can go ahead and verify their clients. Like I said, to stop people from getting scammed on the platform by their identities being used to scam other people. So in all honesty, you're kind of just going to have to get a ton of press and then meet someone like that can get you verified. Please just avoid all the scammers in the comments or that might be hitting your DMs. If you want to ask if someone is legit or not, or you've got questions about this, you're welcome to flick me an email. I'll put it up on the screen. Just avoid these scams. If you think someone could be legitimate, welcome to email me. I'll give you my 2 cents. But most of the time they're going to rip you off. Now, I realize this video is a bit all over the show. There's no step-by-step to getting verified. It's just one, go ahead and make yourself notable. Get in the media, get press, build up your business, build up your brand, build up whatever you're doing, build up your audiences on social media. And then second, get yourself submitted through the media portal, which pretty much just comes from networking and meeting someone at an agency that can do it for you. And that's pretty much it. Most of the people selling these quick schemes are not telling the truth to you. And I know there's always going to be the anomaly. There's going to be people who are verified who don't meet these requirements. There's always going to be loopholes for how to get through things, which people will try and which will sometimes work, but often they're only short-term fixes, and those accounts that get verified that haven't done it legitimately will soon lose it, get banned, etc. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. That's it from me in this video. I hope I've shed some light on the verification process and sort of debunked some of the bad sides of things. If it's helped, let me know in the comments, as I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bots, so it would be cool to see some real people there too. That's it from me. See you in the next one.